Don't trust any image you see online anymore. Nano Banana Pro generates the most realistic images you've ever seen at true 4K resolution. It understands your prompts so well that you can just drop in Google Maps coordinates and it will visualize that exact location just from the numbers. Want to change the atmosphere? Just turn it into a cinematic night shot. If you design jewelry or clothes, just sketch it out and it transforms that sketch into a realistic product shot. Even a simple 2D light setup sketch can be turned into a realistic image. I use Nano Banana Pro directly inside Photoshop with the Luminel Plug-in to unlock true 4K resolution and advanced reference image support. Something the native integration can't do since it's limited to 1K and doesn't let you add extra images. On top of that, the plugin supports a wide range of AI models, giving you far fewer restrictions and much more creative freedom in your edits. In this video, I will take you on a deep dive through my complete workflow so you can tap into the full potential of this setup for your own projects. You can get the plugin and the full installation guide on luminel.org. Let's jump right in. I'm starting with a studio shot of this woman, but you could also generate everything purely from text. In this case, you simply click No Image Input and just typing a prompt. Here's the light setup I used to create this photo in the studio. I had a white background with two large whiteboards on either side of the model. I placed two flash heads aiming into those whiteboards behind her. So the light bounces back softly from the sides and from behind. I added a big white reflector to bounce some of that light back onto her face. Now, my idea is to place this woman into a water environment. It could be a huge lake or even the ocean. So first, I generate the background exactly the way I want it from scratch. For the prompt, I type minimal soft focal seascape, hazy gray blue sky, and muted blue gray water. I choose Nano Banana Pro and set it to full 4K resolution. And this is the result I get for the background. Next, I add this generated seascape as a reference image. I turn off the visibility of that layer and switch to the flattened document option. That means the AI model gets two input images, the studio shot of the woman and the reference background image I just created. For the next prompt, I type, make the woman stand inside the water up to her belly, make her hair and skin wet. The woman remains in her exact pose. Here's the result. She's now standing in the water while keeping her original pose from the studio shot. The lighting shifts to match the new background while her face stays perfectly consistent. Now I want to create a close-up of her face. This can be very useful when you're creating a zoom-in effect for a video, for example. You don't just want to digitally zoom into the same frame because, in real life, when you zoom in with a lens, the depth of field and the facial proportions change as well. So, for the next step, I simply type zoom into her face. The result is a portrait that looks like it was shot with a longer focal length. The depth of field changes. The background and the ears get softer and blurrier, while the focus sits precisely on her eyes. Now, I want to zoom in even further. I type zoom into her left eye, macro close-up. The result is stunning. The focus is perfectly on point, the depth of field looks physically accurate, and there are so many natural details in the skin and in the eye. Let's push it even further. So now I type zoom closer in the eye, macro close-up. Here's what I get. You can see every tiny vein in the white of the eye. There's even a small water droplet hanging from the eyelashes. Now, I want to completely change the scene, pose, and outfit, but keep her character consistent. I wanted to wear a specific coat, so I add a photo of this coat to my reference images as well. And for the location, I go to Google Maps and simply copy the GPS coordinates instead of describing a location. On top of that, I want this location to be in the look of the 1970s. Here's the prompt that I use. Make her wear the coat and stand straight in this location in the 1970s, and then I paste in the Google Maps coordinates. That's basically it. Look at this result. It absolutely nails the location. You immediately recognize the Manhattan Bridge in the back, and on top of that, Nano Banana Pro adds details like cars from the 1970s to match the year that I mentioned in the prompt. Even though I'm already quite happy with the result, and it's also super mind-blowing that it is recognizing the location from the GPS coordinates, I found a vintage photo of this exact location that I like even more. The only problem here is the resolution is terrible, but Nano Banana Pro is also an amazing upscaler. Simply prompt it to make the picture high resolution. The upscale it produces is absolutely stunning. Let's zoom in and have a look at these details. Now, I would have replaced the background, and therefore I used the quick selection tool to select the entire woman from my generated image. And because our new background is very similar to the old one, the lighting direction, the color mood already match perfectly. Even the position of the bridge in the background can be matched. I placed the mask on the upscaled background and it looks great, but immediately you can see that the background is way too sharp. So we need to fix the depth of field to make the image look realistic. I go to Filter, Blur Gallery, Field Blur, and now I place several blur pins in the image to define the depth of field. Objects far away from the camera get the stronger blur, for example around 6 pixels, while areas closer to the camera only get a subtype blur around 1 pixel. You can play around with these pins and intensities until the blur transitions smoothly from front to the back. I hit OK, and now the background looks supernatural. Next, I crop the image to prepare it for a vertical 9:16 format because I want to use these frames to create a vertical video. Now, I want to transform this daytime New York scene into a cinematic blue hour night look. So, I type in the following prompt, turn the image into a cinematic night blue hour shot. The elements in the image remain exactly the same. Add some flashlight to the woman. And here's the result. It already looks amazing, but in this case, Nano Banana slightly struggles with the depth of field. You can see a rectangular area in the background where the blur is missing, even though those elements should be far away from the camera. To fix this, I simply select that area, copy it to a new layer, and apply an additional blur. I go to Filter, Blur, and select the Gaussian blur. Then I adjust the amount of Gaussian blur until that patch blends seamlessly into the rest of the background. To nail the final look, I add a curves adjustment layer with a mask to only lower the exposure of the background. This adds more depth to the scene and makes the blues richer and more intense. So the background feels deeper, moodier, and much more cinematic. I have this fashion sketch and I want to turn it into a realistic photo. I could also add some fabric samples, but for now we will keep it simple and just use the sketch. I paste my prompt into Nano Banana Pro and tell it to turn a sketch into a real fashion photo taken in Paris with no people in the background. And here's the result. So let's compare. As you can see, it keeps the composition and really nails the exact shape of the outfit and the pose. I'm pretty happy with the result. But if you're creating a campaign and you want more control, you can also add a specific background image. I have this shot here of a beautiful street in Paris, and I add it as an additional image using the layer option here. Then I switch the layer off again, so the sketch is still included. For the prompt I type, turn the sketch into a realistic fashion photo using the street photo as a background. This is the initial result. While the code aligns the original design, the dress has changed way too much. So let's correct this by feeding the sketch in again as a reference image. I'm instructing Nano Banana Pro to change your outfit according to the sketch, but maintain the pose of the real photo. Keep the look realistic. Alright, now the outfit is on point, though the face has lost some detail. But we can easily restore that by using a mask. You will also notice that the colors drifted from the original background reference, which is easily corrected with a cursor adjustment. So here are my tweaks. I added a bit of blue in the highlights and I lowered the red tones slightly. For the last use case, I've prepared a 2D light setup sketch. You can find these online or just create your own one. I add the reference image for the actress using the layer option right here. Then I type in my prompt to give Nano Banana Pro more information about the mood and the style that I want. So I type in create an image based on the 2D live setup sketch. Use the image of the woman as a reference for the actress. Location, a dark, smoky warehouse. Strong, white backlight from a high rectangular window behind her. A flaming barrel on the right. And this is the result I get. It already looks amazing, but I'm not 100% happy with the color grading. So let me show you my adjustments. First, I add a curves adjustment. I slightly pulled on the highlights and the midtones, and I left the deepest blacks a bit to soften the contrast. Then I add more blue into the shadows, and on top of that, I lower the saturation slightly and shift the hue a bit towards green. Now, to get another perspective, I simply type zoom closer to her face. And again, we get a beautiful portrait with incredible detail. You can even see the skin pores, and the overall look, including my color corrections, is perfectly maintained. Thanks so much for watching. Nano Banana Pro is already insane, but I'm currently testing Seedream 4.5 inside the plugin, and honestly, it might even dethrone Nano Banana Pro. That video is coming very soon, and Seedream 4.5 is already available in Luminel if you want to start playing with it today inside Photoshop. If this was helpful, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. See you on the next one.